No, absolutely not. Especially if you compare it to like the new Sony lenses or even the new Fuji lenses. Not to mention the whole like plethora of high-end cinema lenses that are the APS-C size. There's no way. But it is way sharper than it needs to be. This is my opinion anyways. I think critical sharpness is a little overrated. I mean, clinical lenses do have a purpose, especially if you're looking for that really clean image, that clean looking ad or that clean looking headshot. To some of you, the preference would be to get a clean image and then manipulate it however you want in post or like with filters or whatever. Arguably, it makes more sense to have it more versatile. The downside is not everyone can afford those lenses and maybe don't want to afford those lenses, or maybe they just don't feel like the character that they're getting out of it per se isn't super authentic in that way. It does tend to look a little bit artificial at times, but I mean, if you know what you're doing, I'm sure there won't be a problem there. The lens we're talking about today is this Canon EFM 32mm f1.4 STM, and you heard it right, it's a Canon EFM lens, so you can only use them on the discontinued Canon EFM cameras. As mentioned, it has a focal length of 32mm on an APS-C sensor, so that would equate to about a 50mm on full frame terms. It has a maximum aperture of f1.4, which means it lets in tons of light, and it also gives you that very shallow depth of field look. It's about half the height of the iPhone, and it weighs about 235 grams according to my search on Google right now. It has only one switch on the body of this lens, which is this focus limiter over here, which I've never had to use because the autofocusing is really fast and silent, so I guess they have it there. I don't know why they have it there. It's built reasonably well, it feels nice, it's a little hefty, has a metal lens mount and all. It's a premium lens build. However, I would still treat it with caution, not weather sealed and all. Here are some sample images that I took last year while I tell you about it. I've not really been a fan of the 50mm field of view. I was finding it either too tight or too wide, so I'm more of a 35-85 kind of guy. However, this lens on the M6 Mark II somehow just sways me. I never really pay attention to the quality of the out of focus areas on a lot of these lenses. I know you should, but I've never been one to look out for that. However, it does look super smooth on this lens. I brought it with me on this like 2.5 week long trip to Europe last year, and this lens stayed on about like 90% of the time when I was using the M6 Mark II. I would say it's almost the same as when I went to Vietnam and Singapore as well. This lens it works in a lot of situations. The price of this lens is dropping pretty significantly due to the discontinuation of the EFM system. However, if you're really looking for a bargain, get it used because a lot of people are getting rid of the EFM cameras. So if you're still shooting on EFM cameras and you don't have this lens, my advice, just shoot for it. It's really worth it just because of the size, the quality, and the price that you're getting it for. I think there's no secret that this lens was great even when it just came out. It looked like Canon was finally getting serious with the EFM line of things, but obviously that was not meant to be. Canon never gives like an L designation to any of their APS-C line lenses. However, if they were to give it to one of them, it has to be this. Anyways, if you have this lens, I hope you're loving it the way I do, and if you don't have this lens and looking to buy it, my recommendation is always 100%. If you're still on the EFM system, like, subscribe, comment if you don't agree with me. I like to talk to people who don't agree with me. Bye.